Hi there and welcome to the Yoga Therapy Centre. Today's class is putting together a few poses for an ailment called Dowager. It's also known as Hyperkyphosis, and it's even, these poses are good for Kyphosis as well. So what's happened with this is usually it's through long-term poor posture, generally caused from work issues, sport, or just poor posture in general. And it's usually just with the neck forward and head down. A lot of computer work. Computer workers get this sort of stuff, and it causes the muscles to learn how to hold the neck in that position. And then it causes calcification in the cervical spine, forming a lump, and the muscles are out of shape. And they need to form differently to hold the neck in that position because the head's the heaviest part of the body. And they need to form differently. So that's how the lump comes. It is reversible. You don't want to leave it till you're 90 and start reversing it, but if you reverse it when you start getting it, or even if you're just starting to get that posture like that, all these poses are good to release it. So basically, there is a whole yoga therapy session designed for this, but this is the asana, some of the poses. There's different poses you can use as well for this, but I just want to show you some nice, easy poses that you can go through. And if you do this daily or every second day or at least 2 times a week, working these poses, you don't have to stay in them for too long, but you'll definitely start feeling the change. So basically, overuse it becomes misuse of the neck. So overuse is just continually using it like this. And then once you start getting pains in the neck and issues in the neck and you start taking tablets for it, you know there's an issue there. It becomes misuse because you continually move in that direction. So we're trying to reverse the misuse. So everything needs to move backwards, forwards, sideways, all that sort of stuff. So to reverse this, we need to continually bring the chin towards the chest as well as bring it away from the chest. Okay, so everything we do is going to be involved in that process. So if you just do this without even any yoga poses, this is going to help that area. So you don't want to go back and get into pain. Okay, you just want to utilize the forward and backward. Okay, and you can come into sideways as well. But this process, what I'm putting together today, is to learn how to utilize both ways, forward and back. Okay, so the first pose we're going to do is cat-cow. So I'm going to get Mary to do the cat-cow and show you how to work it to your best benefits for this, for Dowager. So we're going to come into cow. Cow's always the first one, and you inhale, you bring the chin away from the chest, okay? You're pushing the back down. So we still want to work on the core muscles. So back down, chin up, and then chin towards the chest. And see how we turn that spine into a C shape. Okay, so we continually go through cat-cow nice and slow. Okay, we don't want to flow through this too quick. You want to feel the stretch in the neck. Okay, so we're focusing on that movement. Still use the spine to get you there, because what you want to do is you want to build these muscles up in the back, the spino erector muscles. Really, really important, because they're the muscles that have changed up the top. Okay, so we're trying to lengthen those again. Cat-cow is perfect for lengthening those muscles. Okay, so I would go 6 to 12 sets. Okay, depending, we go through as slow as possible. What you need to use is Ujjayi breath. Okay, so that's Mary's using this now, Ujjayi breath. If you hear just that snoring sound in the back of the throat, restriction of the breath coming through, Mary's doing perfect timing here. Nice, slow movement, deliberate movement. By using Ujjayi breath, you're connecting to the the parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve, which runs that. Okay, so you can finish off, and once you finish doing cat-cow, always go into child's pose and just have a breath or two in child's pose. You don't have to be in there for long, it's just a good rest. We're lengthening through the spine. So we're working on those spine muscles. So it's the chin back and forward and lengthening through the spine that we're after. Okay, that should reverse it. So the next one is we're going to get into a prone position, so on the stomach. I'm going to come into Bhujangasana, okay? I'm going to show you why we do these ones. So Bhujangasana, we make sure we bring the hands on the inside, just on the outside of the chest there. The elbows need to come in, and then we come up. Squeeze the glutes, and then come up. That's it. And that's as far as you need to go. Okay, so chin away from the chest. We're going to bring the shoulders away from the ears. We don't want too much weight in the hands, and bring the elbows in. Okay, so there's that movement there, holding there. So we don't want to crunch the neck. We want to get to the stage where we're lengthening through the neck. So it's almost like I'm pulling Mary's hair out here so I can lengthen her through the neck. Okay, so it's not crunch, it's lengthen. And that's why we drop the shoulders away. And when you're right, come down, relax. Always relax after that. It's a very deep pose, particularly for the lower back. Even though we're using it for this area, for the cervical spine, we're wanting to lengthen the whole back. Okay. And then move into, once you've rested for 20, 30 seconds, move into Purna Salabhasana. Sometimes you've got to say these really slow. And what this is going to do, again, we're coming up and lengthening through the spine. Okay, so this is an awesome spine lengthener. So we're bringing the feet together, we're just switching on the glutes, and then we lift the chest, lift the arms, hold there, bring the chin away from the chest, drop the shoulders back and lift the legs. Okay, so try and bring the legs together if you can, keep lifting, keep lifting. If you can get up to 6 breaths here, you want to bring the chest up, legs up, legs up, chin away from the chest. Perfect. 5, 6 breaths, and then slowly come down and relax. Really, really important pose, that one, for many reasons, but for what we're looking at today, for Dowager, we're looking at lengthening the spine. Again, we don't want to crunch when we come up, we want to lengthen as we come up. So when you bring the legs up, you're pointing the toes back. When you're bringing the head up, you're pushing the crown of the head forward. Have a good rest after that one. So the next pose is, we could do this in many ways, the next pose, but what we want to do is again lengthen through the spine. And what we're going to do is work the shoulders to lengthen through the spine. So when you're ready, Mary, you can get up. And we're going to come into Vajrasana, which is Japanese seated pose, just like that. You can also use anything to sit on to get comfortable. This is a really nice way you can do it, and you can stay in this pose for quite a while. We're going to use Gomukhasana arms for this. And also in Vajrasana, if you struggle with your knees, you can place this behind your knees like this and sit in this position, or you can have a cushion behind you or a pillow and sit in this position. It can make you a little bit more comfortable. Okay, but just for this exercise, there is going to go through the uncomfortable part. So we're going to come into cow face arms, so Gomukhasana arms. So we're going to bring the right arm up and place it behind, and you want to bring that elbow to the middle of the head. Probably not going to happen straight away, but work it towards that head. Then bring the left hand out drop the thumb down and come under. Okay, so Mary's going to stay there. I'm going to show you from behind. And this is the pose here, lengthening through the spine. Now, if you can't use the fingers, while Mary's in this, if you can't use the fingers, you use the strap. You use the strap in the top arm. So I'll use this in the right arm, and that's it there. That's the pose there. Okay, so what we want to look for here is what I said about the elbow. So we want that elbow to come to the middle of the head eventually. What we're doing is opening through the shoulder there, and we're opening through this shoulder. Okay, so we're bringing the shoulder blades together, sternum up, lengthening through the spine. Okay, so that's the idea of that. So when you're figuring out where you need to be, if you think of someone pushing you this way, but your head's going up to the roof, keep your head straight. That's it. And the sternum always comes up. Perfect. So what we're trying to do here is not worrying about the chin too much. We're trying to lengthen through the spine. So we're trying to work those muscles. And the shoulders are really important with this, to open through the chest. And we're squeezing that area behind. So remember, these muscles are the ones what are making the problem with pushing the neck forward. Together, you see what happens is the neck lengthens. Okay, so always think of your sternum coming up, and always think of bringing that elbow to the top of your head and that elbow behind your back. Okay, so that's where we're working towards. And obviously do the other side. So Mary will just flick to the other side. Make sure you do both sides. And that's perfect. So just working that shoulder back, that shoulder forward and up, sternum up, lengthening through the spine. Perfect. So when you're ready, relax. Always you can come into Shavasana after that one, because you want to release all that blood through the knees and the ankles. So if it does get too much in Vajrasana, with that, you can sit in a seated pose like this, just Sukhasana, and then move into it that way. So that's another way you can do it. So you don't have to do the Vajrasana part, but I like to do the Vajrasana part because you're working the knees and the ankles as well as lengthening through the spine, and it makes you switch your core on. So what happens when you get these sorts of injuries, you generally put a little bit of weight on, excess weight, because of your posture. Okay, so your postures are, you're not breathing properly through the diaphragm. There's lots of things that are happening. And so we want to still work on the core muscles. But lengthening through the back, core muscles, chin back and forward. They're the things we're looking at. So we're going to move into bridge pose now. So bridge pose, so when you're ready coming into bridge pose, there's 3 different ways you can do bridge pose. And I want you to pick the way that you feel is good for you. So Mary's going to show you bridge pose. So we want to bend the knees up, bring the heels up towards the buttocks. And it's almost like you can touch your heels. So if you just work at touching your heels, that's a pretty good place to be. Feet hip width apart. And then we're just pushing down through the heel, the big toe, and the hands, and lifting the hips up and squeeze the glutes. So as you get up, you want to squeeze those glutes and keep pushing the hips up. Pushing the hands into the floor, feet into the floor, push the hips up. So keep squeezing the glutes. You want to stay here for 5 or 6 breaths, okay? So every pose we're doing, if you can do 5, 6 breaths, that's awesome. And then when you're ready, slowly come down. So that's the first bridge. The second one, come back into it. So lifting the hips up exactly the same way as you started, and then bring the hands underneath. Clasp the hands, so interlace all 10 fingers. Okay? Bringing the shoulder blades together. Have a look at Mary's chin, right to the chest. So remember we said opening, closing. This is a really good one to lengthen the spine. Okay? We're bringing the hands forward as much as we can. We want push down towards those heels, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips up. Beautiful. 5, 6 breaths again and come down. So you can either do, the way I would do it is the basic one, which was the hands down by the side, come down, have a rest, do that again, unless you can progress to clasping the hands underneath and coming into full bridge. Okay, so the next one in the progression, if you can get to this stage, but don't push yourself too far to get to this stage, is coming into full wheel pose. Okay, so there's a Dhanurasana, it's a bow pose, and we're going to come into the pose like this. So we bring the hands, the fingers pointing to the shoulders. It's almost like you're rolling on the fingers. We bring the elbows in towards the ears. And the feet are in the same position as what Mary had. Okay, and you're pushing down through the same place. You're squeezing the glutes, bringing the belly button to the spine, elbows in, and just lift the head up. And so that might be enough, but don't have your elbows splayed out. Don't put all the pressure on your head. You want pressure on the hands as well. And then you can push up into this position. And so you're bringing the chin away from the chest on this one, but you're working on lengthening through that spine, particularly when you come down, head down, release, release. And then coming into Shavasana. After you do that one, you want to really make sure that you loosen through the hips. So come into windshield wipers. After you do all the bridge poses, really, let's come into that. So that's the progression. If you can only do the first one, just stick to that until you work to the second one, stick to that, and eventually you might get to the third. But if you can do wheel like I just did, always start at the first one, then do the second one, and then do wheel after that. So they're the 3 poses for that. After that, we come into fish pose. So fish pose, there's only 6 poses in this series that you can easily fit into your day. Just remember 6 breaths in each. That's all you really want to do. So fish pose, keeping the legs straight, pointing the toes, hands underneath the hips or underneath the buttocks, elbows stay on the floor. And if you look here, the shoulder blades are naturally coming together, the sternum's coming up high, chin away from the chest. We want to place the head on the floor, okay? You can progress through this pose and bring the soles of the feet together. You can cross your legs, but this is the main thing we want. Chest up, opening through the chest, opening through the throat. Okay, so that's the main thing. Again, 6 breaths is perfect. When you're ready, just come out. And always just lay on your back for 20 seconds before you move to the next pose. Never just go straight into the pose. And the final pose is a really nice one. It's just lifting the legs up. So if you've got a block, place it under your hips, under the tailbone, and lift the legs up. If you want to do it on a wall, do it on a wall. It's perfect, but get your bum right up against the wall. Mary prefers to do it in this way. It's nice and easy once you get used to having the legs nice and light. Okay, so if you have a look at fish pose, what Mary did last time, the neck was in a full stretching position this way. Now what we're doing is bringing length into the spine by bringing the chin towards the chest. Bring your shoulder blades in towards each other. Once you do that, your sternum comes up. Then bring the chin into the chest and allow the blood to start flowing down through the legs. We're relaxing the heart. Really nice way to finish a series of poses. You can stay in this one as long as you like. You know, sometimes you can stay in this for 15, 20 minutes if you want. It's not going to hurt you, it's just going to help you. But when you finish this pose, make sure you come down into Shavasana. Spend the time in Shavasana. Allow the blood to flow back through the legs before you get up and get moving. And when you're ready, just coming down lift the block up. If you haven't got a block, you can use like a couple of books underneath you, or you can just place your hands underneath your lower back, but you want to get some sort of height there. Even when you do it against the wall, it's really nice to have a block or even a cushion up against the wall and sit your bum on that, pushing it up against the wall. Lifting up the hips as you lift the legs up, it's putting the pelvis in a correct position. Okay, and that's why your legs will be nice and comfortable. So that's the set of poses for Dowager or Hyperkyphosis. Continually do this for, if you could do it every day, that's awesome. I know, people are time poor, so make sure you do it 2 to 3 times a week. Continue to do these poses. And as I said, without the poses, you can just continually do this sort of movement. Always just work this sort of movement, okay? And just work to what you've got. So what I mean by that is don't get in any pain. You don't want to push through the pain. All these poses will allow you to get back to where you were. It does take time, patience, and focus on the breath, okay? Enjoy your breath all the way through these poses. Just focus on it, 6 to 8 breaths are perfect in each pose. And you'll be on your way to releasing that area, stopping that lump from growing. So we're trying to reverse that lump by waking up the muscles and lengthening through the spine. Once we lengthen through the spine, we're going to wake those muscles up. But what's happened is that the muscles are holding the spine in and the compression is there. Okay, so we want to get rid of that compression. So work your way through it. Any questions, please drop me an email and ask, and I'll get back to you. There's other parts of yoga therapy you need to go with this, but work with the poses first, work with the breath. Once you do those sorts of things, then we can move into more therapy part of it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you with your posture. And as I said, any questions, let me know. So thank you for watching. Namaste.